Some of the news of the day. Uh, it's Tuesday already, um, and it's a gorgeous day here in Wisconsin. High in the mid 50s, maybe 60 for November. What is it? November 20th. This is pretty amazing. You take a look outside, and it's just bright and sunny. Maybe a good day for a walk, huh? So, just a couple of interesting subjects in the news. There is a story about a Pakistani court dismissing a blasphemy case against a Christian girl. The Pakistani court today dismissed charges against a Christian girl accused of desecrating the Quran, ending a case that had cast a spotlight on the country's controversial blasphemy law and renewed questions about the treatment of minorities. The Islamabad High Court, that is, concluded there was no evidence to support allegations that Rimsha Masa, age 14, had ripped pages from the Quran and burned them, according to her lawyers. Rimsha spent 3 weeks in jail, was later freed on bail after police came across evidence they say shows an imam, I hope I pronounced that right, an imam at the mosque at her neighborhood had ripped pages from a copy of the Quran and planted them in a bag of ashes and trash that the girl was taking to the garbage bin. The cleric, Khalid Kashti, now faces charges of fabricating evidence against Rimsha. He was among the group of Muslims in Rimsha's neighborhood who claimed she had violated the blasphemy law. He's free on bail and awaiting a trial now in Pakistan. One official says we're on firm ground because there's no witnesses to back up the charges. It was a fabricated story. In Pakistan, it's a crime to desecrate the Quran or to insult the Prophet Muhammad or the Islamic faith in any way, shape, or form. In some instances, a conviction can lead to a death sentence. The law is often exploited as a tool to settle scores against adversities or persecute minorities, especially Christians and Ahmadis, members of a Muslim sect, viewed by most Pakistanis as traitors to Islam because they revere another prophet in addition to Muhammad. So here we go again with religion creating all kinds of messes. Is it worth having this religion? And just, wasn't John Lennon right when he said just we can live without religion and get along together? I think he was right. So again, divisive issues, a teenage girl involved, and she didn't even do it. So pretty scary. And some very scary things going on around the country too. The United States, a 13-year-old girl was shot on a school bus this morning, and a male is in custody, according to Miami-Dade police. The suspect's age has not been made public yet. The injured student, who was airlifted to Miami Children's Hospital, was on a private school bus en route to Somerset Academy, Silver Palms, when the shooting happened, according to a spokesperson for the police department. She said, "We're still trying to get word of her condition." The shooting happened in the area of 296th Street and Southwest 137th Avenue in Homestead, a city in the Miami-Dade County. Somerset Academy, Silver Palms, is a kindergarten through 12th grade free charter school in Miami-Dade County. A banner on the school's website read, "At this time we are aware there's a community situation. Somerset Palms is in normal education mode." So, these random acts of violence are pretty scary when you're looking at that anybody could go wild at any time. The anger is the scariest thing. When somebody gets too angry, that's when it gets really, really frightening. And the latest from the Israel situation, according to Reuters today, the Reuters news service, there is there's an article. Where is that? The Hamas leader Khaled Mishal looked like a man at home in Cairo this week as he used the Egyptian capital to declare terms for a ceasefire with Israel. His confidence reflecting the historic changes shaping an Arab world more supportive of his cause. Now, in Cairo for talks on the Gaza crisis, the bearded Hamas leader in exile has been warmly received in a country where officials viewed his movement with suspicion, bordering on outright hostility. when Hosni Mubarak was in power. In stark contrast to those days, a smiling Mishal was photographed on Monday meeting with President Morsi, the head of the new Egyptian administration shaped by the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas's spiritual mentor, apparently. Morsi, unlike Mubarak, is taking a personal interest in truce talks Egypt is overseeing. And behind the scenes, Hamas's leaders are finding a very difficult attitude from the Egyptian mediators. A different attitude. In Mubarak's days, the Palestinians often complained that Egyptian intelligence chief Omar Suleiman, who died earlier this year, would try to impose Israel's terms on them. The Egyptian brothers in the intelligence service have always helped in truce matters, and this time they're going to be more helpful because President Morsi is in charge, according to a close source to Hamas. The former regime used to pressure us more than they did Israel. The changes buoying Hamas have started to become clear, and the tone from other Arab states too. A delegation of 8 Arab ministers arrived in Gaza on Tuesday in the latest visit to express solidarity with Palestinians, and the shift marks a challenge to the policies of Western governments, including the United States. They shun Hamas as a terrorist group, dealing instead with the Palestinian Authority, from which Hamas seized control of Gaza in 2007. So it gets, when you're looking at Middle East politics, it gets very, very gray. It's hard to separate from the black from the white, the good from the bad. Everything is so cloaked in names and labels in politics, and who's for the oppressed and who's not for the oppressed, and who's for Israel and who's not for Israel. It's hard to know what's going on. And even the news sources, we don't know. Reuters seems to be, from what I've seen, a pretty objective news source. According to Shadi Hamad, the director of research at the Brookings Doha Center, the regional calculus has changed. This is not 2008 all over again. Some people say these are symbolic moves, but I think the symbolic and rhetorical go a long way. Under Mubarak, you had mediators who were deemed as sympathetic to one side. Now Egypt has more leverage with Hamas. This is what we should be doing. He's going to be listened to more than Mubarak was. And smiling and joking, Mishal reflected his group's growing confidence during a 90-minute encounter with Egyptian journalists on Monday. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu had badly misread the new regional picture. He said he wanted to test Egypt, and the Egyptian response was loud and clear. He wanted to test the Arab Spring and found the extent of solidarity of the Arab Spring nations with Gaza and its people. Mishal, installed as the leader of Hamas back in 2004, after Israel assassinated the group's wheelchair-bound Sheikh Ahmad Yassin in Gaza, survived in 1997 in the Israeli attempt to kill him by injecting him with poison in broad daylight in the streets of Amman. That's the Jordanian capital, by the way. So, yeah, very scary stuff. And when Hamas, especially, I guess I've always thought of Hamas as an instigator of trouble, and now it seems to be getting more gray. But Hamas haven't they backed terrorist attacks? Haven't they publicly proclaimed violence as a solution to problems? Haven't they publicly claimed their hate for Israel? That should be enough to see them as a very dangerous organization. So that's just some things in the news today. Not much, no shocking stories or philosophy to report today. Currently, I'm reading the This I Believe series of 2 books for book club, and that's coming up in a couple weeks. So I'll have some extended excerpts from those books and some of the essays that I found most moving. But just about a quarter away through the second book now. I finished the first book, and there's a lot of great knowledge in there about people's dreams and why they dream what they dream. And when you read these books, there's certainly, when you look at the news, you look at Hamas and Israel and the constant fighting and killing and the seeming hopelessness of the world, and then you read these essays and you say, wow, there are a lot of dreamers out there, a lot of people that just want to grasp life and live it with all the passion they can and the love for their friends and family. So you've got good and a lot of good and a lot of bad in the world, and it's a big interesting mix, isn't it? Over and out.